Hey, I'm Anthony Romano, and this video is going to explain to you why you're not going to get scurvy from doing keto or fasting. So this video was brought by a question from Mark Coughlin, I believe that's how you pronounce it, basically asking, can you explain why scurvy isn't something to worry about on a very long fast, or keto presumably. So I actually have some great studies in the Keto Shred program explaining why you're not going to get mineral losses or vitamin deficiencies or scurvy from keto or fasting. And so they're referenced in here, but I'm going to talk about some of them very quickly in this video because some people who are newer to keto and, aren't ready to jump into the best fat loss strategies made over a decade worth of keto dieting and coaching yet. So I'll explain some of those real quick. But for starters, no, you don't have to worry about scurvy on keto, and I'm going to explain why. And also check out the Keto Shred program while it's at the rock bottom lowest price possible on this New Year's launch sale. And, take advantage of that while it's still up. Okay, or if it's on a sale currently as you're watching this video. So, on that note, let's get into this video. So, why won't you get scurvy on keto? Well, scurvy is caused by a vitamin C deficiency. And although there's a lot of ways I could, approach this, the primary thing that most people need to know, and this is actually a very interesting fact about most vitamin C supplements, is that if you ever see a vitamin C supplement with sugar in it, or high amounts of sugar, which is commonly put in there for taste, you're not getting a very effective vitamin C supplement. Why? Because vitamin C and sugar both compete for glucose absorption together. They both compete with the same glucose transporters. And if you are consuming a very, very high sugar, very high carbohydrate diet, your absorption levels of vitamin C are going to be diminished because vitamin C has to compete with sugar, and if there's too much, you're not going to absorb it. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get into how powerful and how beneficial vitamin C is because you can find plenty of other videos on that. But the most impactful studies on this work, which are referenced in the Keto Shred program, is the starting one is from a book called, from a guy called Vilhjalmur Stefansson. Okay, this was a guy who lived with Eskimo people and other tribes in the 1920s and before. And basically, him and some other dude, not some other dude, I'm not trying to discredit him because I forget his name, Johnson, I want to say, they basically lived with these tribes that ate only meat. And I'm not saying keto implies that you have to eat only meat. All you have to do is not eat sugar. But the point is, he ate like they did. And so did his compadre. And basically, they were like wondering, why didn't they get scurvy? Why didn't they get mineral deficiencies? Because the thing is, when you're not eating sugar in your diet, you will not have any competition for mineral absorption. Now, there's also some great work, which I referenced in Keto Shred, from Dr. James DiNicolantonio on basically some studies where they measured that mineral losses will occur and vitamin deficiencies may occur from very high carbohydrate diets. Now, granted, I'm not saying you cannot have high carbohydrate diets at some parts of the year. In fact, for most people, lifestyle and practicality-wise, I recommend that you get keto adapted and then start working in carbs into your lifestyle. Okay, you got a date, go have some carbs, whatever. Treat yourself to a sushi dinner here and there. But the point is, you want to keep keto as a foundational practice that you do every single year. Why? Because your ancestors would do this for half of the year at least in most parts of the world. Because carbs do not grow in the wintertime. Our metabolism is seasonal just like everything else in the world. Day, night, summer, winter, chaos, order, all those different seasonal processes. There's a season for reaping, season for sowing, and when you are in the wintertime, your body has to tap into its own stored fuel. That is why we store body fat. And if you can't get fruits or grains in the cold winter, then your body had no choice than to be in ketosis. So again, keto does not mean you have to, go hunt elk and eat them all day long like Joe Rogan, okay? It just means that you have to not eat sugar. And from there's 1,000 ways to implement it. You can have a keto diet where you're eating entirely broccoli, okay? And because it's a fibrous source of carb and not going to raise your blood sugar, you are in ketosis. So granted, it'd be a lot of fiber and probably wouldn't provide the best digestive processes, but you get the point. So why aren't you going to get scurvy or mineral deficiencies? Because sugar will deplete certain levels of certain minerals, particularly ones like vitamin C and other water-soluble vitamins like the Bs. So again, as a side note, remember, a vitamin C supplement with a load of sugar in it is useless, and it's a tactic that companies will use to basically get you to buy a product and keep buying it because it tastes good, and it says vitamin C on the label. The source of vitamin C and the type also matters, and you also want one with cofactors in it, as a side note for you. Because if you supplement with only the ascorbic acid and in high amounts, and none of the other cofactors, getting no other CoQ10 in there at some point of your diet, or even getting it from a complex of vitamin C or liposomal form, basically that's the best way to do it, because if you supplement with just the ascorbic acid in high amounts, you're going to deplete your vitamin C from your body, because your body's trying to pull the cofactors out of your stores to facilitate the proper usage. Does that make sense? So basically, don't eat sugar, you're not going to get mineral deficiencies. Also, why? Because when you're jacking your body full of sugar, certain minerals are going to get excreted, okay? Now, one thing that somebody may have noticed if they're on keto is that for the start, they might be urinating more. They might have to go to the bathroom and take a piss more, okay? Why? Because when your insulin's lower, you start depleting some water, okay? And you're hanging on to more salt. Your body wants to hang on to more sodium for hydration. So basically, when somebody's on a chronically elevated insulin state, jacking the sugar up all the time, you're basically going to be causing the opposite effect. You're going to be, instead of trying to hang on to minerals, you're going to be excreting them far more frequently. Now that's, again, a little detail here that I could dive into in other videos, but the point is, no sugar in the diet is going to lead to no competition for mineral absorption and no extra excretion of mineral absorption and vitamin absorption. That's the simple answer for this one. And as far as a prolonged fast goes, to fully make sure I answer Mark's question, is that in the context of a prolonged fast, if you are doing adequate electrolyte protocols, adequate consumption of water, right, which is all explained in the Keto Shred program, then you will not risk any sort of mineral deficiencies. Because one thing too to worry about is if you are doing a prolonged fast, if you don't get enough electrolytes with the ratios and doses prescribed and not prescribed, that's a term that applies medical prescriptions. That's not what I'm doing here legally. So if you follow those suggestions for electrolyte protocols, you will be adequately hydrated, you won't become hyperaldosteronic, and you won't be excreting out all this extra sodium and all this extra water and trying to hang on to more sodium and hydration. So that is it for this video. Go get the Keto Shred program while it's on this rock bottom price. Watch some more of my other videos and subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Anthony Romano, peace.